Today we're looking at the Roland VRC-01. Now this is the VRC-01. I've got it set up here in the Digital DJ Tip studio with a DJ controller in order to show you how a DJ might use this to live stream their DJ sets. But this is really something that you could use in all situations where you want to put a live stream on Facebook or on YouTube or on Instagram or Twitch, and you want to use more than one camera. You maybe want to drop in video and audio and images and basically add sources to make a proper show in the same way that you see TV studios doing, or indeed the same way that I'm doing now in this professional studio. But here's the thing, you can use your iPad to control everything alongside this little piece of hardware, and all the cameras are iOS or Android phones. So they've got no wires attached to them. It's all working on the local Wi-Fi network, which makes it very easy to set up and gives you an awful lot of power because the apps are free, both for the phones, which are working as cameras, and for the iPad. And the AeroCaster unit is really very cheap. It's a couple of $100 or something like that. So for that money, you're getting something that allows you to do the kind of shows that you see done in studios that have cost many, many thousands, like the one that I'm talking to you from now with professional cameras and everything's wired in and all that kind of stuff. Makes it very portable, makes it very easy to get started, to get professional results and have an awful lot of fun. So in this overview, we're going to look at the unit, we're going to look at how it works, I'm going to explain some of the pluses and minuses. By the end of this, you'll be very sure whether this is something that you want to get involved in. So let's talk about setting this whole thing up. So what I've got here is the unit itself. I've got a tripod with my daughter's iPod Touch that I stole from her for the day and brought in here because it's got an iOS camera on it. Over here, I've got my iPhone set up on a tripod with a little holder. So that's one thing you're going to need. You're going to need tripods and ways of holding your phones up so that they're pointing where you want them to be pointing to do this. They're very cheap, little clip things you can buy, very cheap to plug your phone into something which can then be screwed onto a tripod. And again, the tripods I'm using here cost very little. So with a couple of tripods, you're ready to go. You don't need to worry about microphones on these things. It's only taking the video from your cameras into the main unit here. And then we need an iPad. So while you can use Android or iPhones, you have to have an iPad for this. It doesn't work on an Android tablet, which runs the kind of main master AeroCaster software from Roland. Again, the software is free. And this is plugged in via a cable to your Roland AeroCaster that takes power from this. You can put power into the AeroCaster as well, because on the back of it, it's got two USB-C sockets, one that you can use for power, which presumably powers the iPad as well. I've not tested that. And the other one I've got the iPad plugged into. So it's worth bearing in mind that this is an audio interface. So this is acting like an audio interface. I've got a microphone plugged in here. I've got room for another one. This is my audio coming from my DJ setup. So the Roland unit is acting partly like a audio interface to plug together all the audio that you want to get into the software up here, which is how I'm getting my DJ controller in there. Now, I don't have to use the microphone I've got here. I only just plugged it in to show you that it's there, and that's how you would dial the microphone in to the settings. So these four, you've got three inputs for audio here, and you've also got your master input, and you can see the peak level is there, picking up what's going on. So if I hit play on my DJ controller, maybe you can hear that in the room. Here's my input coming in from the DJ controller, which is also showing up here. So if I was setting up this as a DJ setup, you know, I'd use a couple of iOS cameras. I'd have one close up, which is the one I've got, you can see here, which is close up. So on the screen, this is the close-up camera coming in here. But by pressing the button here, I can switch to the other camera, which is this one over here, which I've just set up pointing down here, but you probably have that somewhere in front of me, showing me and the decks. And then there's room for more cameras. So an extra camera that we've got here is the one that's on the actual iOS device itself here. So this is actually the front camera, wherever it is, there it is, pointing up at me from here. So this could be used for chatting to your audience if you have this set up. Obviously, I haven't set this up in a way that I want to live stream. I'd set my cameras up in better positions than the ones I'm using just to demonstrate for you here. You can actually switch between cameras and stuff by tapping them on here, but it's easier to do it down here on this unit. Let's have a talk through the unit then and what's on it. So we've already talked about the audio mixers. You've got 3 channels of audio there. You've got your main output here, and there's an output level on the top of here.
here. Here's where we switch our cameras. You can see them switching on here while I do this. We've also got picture-in-picture, so you can see we've now got a picture-in-picture going on here, and I can dial into other picture-in-pictures as well. There's a split picture going on here, and these can be accessed here along with the individual cameras in order to go out live with things like that. Here we've got some really nice features. So low cut will take a lot of the rumble out of the microphone audio, a lot of the maybe bass that's coming in. A de-esser stops the S sounds sounding weird. You can split your microphones, so if you want to be recording this, you can have the microphones 1 and 2 on the left and right stereo channels for mixing later. We can drop in audio effects and also background music here from the iOS device. So these buttons here can also be assigned to other things as well, which you can do in the software, which I'll show you in a second. So also on the unit, we've got a compressor and limiter on the microphone channels, and this is to make the microphone sound nice and loud, but to stop them distorting if they get too loud. Gain controls to get the overall level of the mic right before we start mixing them in and out down here. Loopback brings in audio from the iOS device, so you can use that in your broadcast as well. And then we've got the ability to cancel echo. You'll have seen this on Zoom and Skype. If it's coming in from a guest on one of the microphones, maybe being fed in, or being fed in from the iOS device here. An auto leveler just saves you having to get the level right on the peak meter here. So you can plug in a set of headphones around the side of the unit here, and they've got a volume control as well, and if they've got a microphone on, that can be fed in here too. It also has a built-in microphone. Really versatile unit. Now you can drop reverb in on the mics, and this is a control I really liked. It's the lip sync delay control, because quite often when you're using Wi-Fi and cameras like this, so the cameras will be a little bit behind the audio, and so you need to fix that, and having a control to turn to fix that I think is awesome. So that's a good addition here as well. A big on-air control here to get your broadcast out to the internet, and then just to check we've covered everything around the back, I'm pretty sure we have. We've got the microphone inputs, we've got the input here for my line-in audio. This is for a monitor setup. You can put monitor speakers on the back of here, and you can press the direct monitor button so that whatever's going on here gets fed out to your speakers with no delay, because otherwise you'll get a slight delay from it going to the iPad and coming back as well. And then we've got the 2 USB-Cs here. So that's how the inputs and outputs on the unit work. Let's just move to the software now and talk a little bit more about what's going on here. So I've already talked to you about the cameras here. When you tap a camera button, it'll tell you the available cameras, and then you can just dial one in there to fill the slots. So you get 5 if you think about it, because you've got 4 cameras you can put in and the input from the iPad's camera. This is a preview of what's going to be going out, and this is what's going out, and you can decide whether you see the preview first by turning that on or off. Professionals will always preview a camera before putting it live, but if your cameras are all fixed, you wouldn't bother doing that. You can put media in here as well. So I've got slots here. I just got a photo in there, but you can put audio in here as well, and you can also put video in here to drop into your show, as you just saw me do there, which is really cool. Intros and outros and titles and stuff can all be on there. You can set lots of stuff about the cameras, the zoom, exposure, white balance, focus. You can even put the little LED light on the front of the camera on or off to use as a kind of piece of lighting, and stabilize the cameras. So there's an awful lot you can do here with your cameras. You get a choice of transitions, and you can do various things to the audio as well down here. Now when you want to go live, you click the little live button here. You choose where you want to go live, YouTube, Facebook or Twitch, or you can add a custom RTMP, and you also get recording settings here as well, and you can also output HDMI if you're using a USB-C iPad with the correct adapter to plug into a monitor, or even to go and record it on a camera or something like that. So really what we've got here is a massively flexible system that combines a cheap but useful piece of hardware that's full of audio technology and a really cool piece of free software to give you a broadcast studio with no wires and just pushing into practice a couple of iOS devices or a couple of old Android phones you've got knocking around, because most people have, right, in the back of a drawer. It's a great way of getting some extra life out of them. The advantages of this, very cheap as long as you've got the iOS devices, of course, or the Android devices and the iPad. Very cheap to get going if you already own those things. It's no wires. Obviously there's a few wires going on here, but not many. Most of them are for my DJ setup. The rest of the wires here are nothing to do with this. The cameras are not plugged into anything. They're both just literally using the Wi-Fi network in the room, as is the iOS device, to all work together and indeed to get out to the internet. And the disadvantages of this, Well, you are relying on having charged up phones and Android devices. Although the cameras are very good on such devices, they're not going to be as good as the cameras I'm talking to you on now, which are of course professional cameras, but they get very, very close. They're a lot better than webcams because of course iOS devices, Android devices have got built-in computers that do a lot to the image before it gets fed. So you do get some good pictures from these units, no problem with that. Other disadvantages of this, I just think you are tied to a piece of hardware and a piece of software that's been sold to you. So if you don't like the features in the software, you're stuck. But that said, this is actually exceptional software. It's free, it does an awful lot. And if you gave this to me and said you're going to be broadcasting on this from your studio for the next month, all your shows you're going to be doing with this software, I wouldn't be worried at all. I would be able to put on a perfectly good show from here, replacing this system I've got going on here, which is, like I say, it's a 5-figure sum we paid for all the stuff that I've got going on in here. You will need to buy extra bits and pieces. You'll need to buy tripods and you'll need to buy stands to hold the cameras up. I love it. The Roland AeroCaster is the name of the overall system, and the VRC-01 is the name of the unit here. It's a great way to go live, especially if you want to feed lots of different audio sources into your live show. And you want to do some of the things with multiple cameras you see DJ live streamers or other live streamers doing that involve lots of shots, lots of scenes where you've got shots in shots, and you're dropping in things like titles and music and so on, which is all very, very possible and very easy to do with this. There is software out there that's similar to this that costs you like $30, $40, $50 a month to subscribe to, and it all happens on the iPad. There's no piece of hardware to help you. So if you can find the $200 or $300 for the hardware here, plug it in. At the moment anyway, this software is all free. So you're really getting a very, very good deal and you're getting a lot for your money. As you can tell, we really loved it. I love stuff like this. It's really enabling live streaming, and more than that, it's enabling professional looking and great sounding live streaming, especially with the compression and the limiters and the reverb and so on that you've got available to you there, to anyone who wants to do it. And that means DJs, which is of course where we get excited because we love seeing DJs live streaming and doing a good job of that. And this Roland AeroCaster system and the VRC-01 hardware will definitely help you to do that. So there's a digital DJ tips look at this. If you've got any questions, ask them underneath. There's a full written review with more details over on the Digital DJ Tips website. And if you want to learn how to DJ with the best, we work with Jazzy Jeff, James Hype, Layback Luke, DJ Angelo, and many more. Your first step in doing that is joining Digital DJ Tips. Head to the URL on the screen now, where not only will we make you our latest member for free, but we'll give you a copy of our Rock the Dance Floor book, the #1 bestseller on Amazon on how to DJ. So in the meantime, get good, get out there, make the moments, and we'll see you again very soon.